Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to Escape to the Finger Lakes. This is your host, Christina, from Finger Lakes Wine Country, and joining me today, I have two very special guests from Atwater Vineyards, Ted Marks and Denise Clapier. How are you guys?
Very well.
Things are just great here. Thank you.
Great, and I know that we have lots to talk about, and I believe I've had Amanda on from Atwater before, so we have heard a little bit about Atwater Vineyards, but for those of the listeners who are not familiar with Atwater, give us a little history.
Well, we're just north of Watkins Glen on Seneca Lake on the east side. We're just about hitting our 12th year of being a vineyard, 80 acres. Probably the most incredible view of Seneca Lake of all the wineries, of course, not to mention our wines. And we grow about 16 different varieties of grapes on the farm. And what else do you want to know?
Everything. So yeah, and so you said you have 16 different varieties of grapes that you grow. How many different wines do you offer in the tasting room?
We offer about 18 different wines, okay. I believe. It's close to that. It varies. Some years 16, some years 19. Yeah. It just depends how the crop was in the prior year. Wonderful.
Now, one of the things that people will know of Atwater Vineyards, again, as you mentioned, is that incredible view. And if our listeners have had a chance to get their hands on the 2011 Finger Lakes Wine Country magazine, that image that was on the cover, the vineyard, the vine dining image, not only was it on the cover of our 2011 Finger Lakes Wine Country magazine, but it was also used in a lot of our ads in the year 2011. And that was taken actually at a vine dining experience at Atwater Vineyards. So it is definitely a beautiful view.
We actually have about 4 times a year. We have not yet set this year's dates of actually having dinner down in the vineyards. We've only been rained out once in all the years we've done it.
Wow.
About 30 people. It's really a fun evening watching the sunset, tasting local wines, and all the food is done is all local foods.
Right. And those take place throughout the summer months into the fall?
Yeah, obviously. We usually do it in late July, August, September, and October.
Wonderful. So I would, if listeners are interested in taking advantage of a vine dining experience, they should visit atwatervineyards.com. So it is such a gorgeous place. The winery, the staff is amazing. I always have a wonderful experience there, and they have this great deck. You can't go wrong. It's just an amazing experience, and the wine is stellar. You guys are constantly recognized for the quality of wine, so definitely not to miss a winery along the Seneca Lake Wine Trail. So,
thanks for your support. We appreciate it, Christina.
Absolutely,
we should give a call out to our winemaker, who's Vinny Alaperti.
Yes.
He's been with us for 11 years as well, and he owns his own winery up in Geneva called Billsboro, which is also very successful.
Absolutely. And it's nice because you don't hear incredibly often of a winemaker that stays within a winery for that length of time. So that definitely says something for Atwater Vineyards and just that quality and the consistent winemaking. I think that's definitely something unique and something to be proud of.
Well, we've been very lucky. Vinny came from Long Island Wineries and Herman Wiemer. He moved up to Geneva with his family. He's got, 3 children. And it's just been a very good and warm relationship between us.
Yeah.
He makes his Billsboro wines here. That's probably what helps keep him here.
I'm sure that helps.
We work together. It's fun supporting each other and working together, and that's really the tradition of the Finger Lakes wineries.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Now, one of the more fun releases you've had recently, last year you released a Riesling sparkling wine, and it's titled Riesling Bubble, and it is by far one of the coolest looking wine labels. It is so clean, it's so classy, and just fun. And how's that been received in the tasting room, and just have you been selling it at different wine stores and everything?
Yes, it was released wholesale. It was so successful between the retail and wholesale markets that we released 200 cases in September and sold out of it in 4 months. So We're already on to our 2011 vintage.
Wow.
People really like it. The only thing I wanted to clarify is sparkling wine isn't a word that we usually use for it. It is a bubbly wine, but sparkling wine is kind of reserved for Cuvée Bruts and champagne-style wines.
Got it.
We're shortening it down to just calling it bubble.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So now you did the Riesling Bubble, the bubbly wine, and it's delicious and amazing, and everyone, as soon as they come out with is it 2010 released, did you say?
Well, we call it a non-vintage wine.
Okay.
It was 2010. We now are using mainly grapes from 2011.
Okay.
But it's non-vintage, and we may blend in some, Riesling from prior years, other vineyards. But usually it's our own vineyards.
Very cool. And it's a fun wine. I think that people, of course, Riesling is the Finger Lakes premier variety. People love the Finger Lakes Riesling, and to have this in a different style is really exciting and special. So, and one of the other things that you're doing, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you today, was about this Pinot Noir Bubble. So tell me about this new wine.
Well, it is made with Pinot Noir. It's going to be dry, just 1% sugar. We had enough Pinot Noir to make a still wine with, so we decided to put what we had from the farm here into a new product called Pinot Noir Bubble. And we're going to use the same style of label, created by the same artist, Sean McGarry, up in Rochester, New York, a young guy who's pretty sharp. One of the fun things is on the back of the bottle, on the back label, is something called a QR code. And on that QR code, you take a smartphone or handheld device and scan it with a QR reader. That will take you to a really fun interactive site with a video. We'll have promotions on there. We'll tell you something about the wine, give directions to the winery. Kind of unique site called Scanlander, so that it lands there, which actually built just for us.
Nice. That's great. And now, was the QR code and everything on the Riesling Bubble?
Yes.
Or is it something new?
Yeah, one of the very first wines in the Finger Lakes using the QR code, if not the first.
Yeah.
And it takes you right to a 1 minute and 3 second little video of us actually making the wine.
How neat.
It really is neat. And Sean came down and filmed it all himself. He was so excited about the look in our wine that he did this himself and kind of presented it to us, and we just went crazy over it.
Yeah.
And we're now putting the QR code on as many labels as we can of our wines.
I think the thing about wine is, people who especially are tuned into the Finger Lakes wine, you have that sense of place. You have the sense of, the farm, and you want to know where it's coming from and whose hands have been, in the process. And to have the Scanlander page, and to be able to see the video and get the information and find directions, it just adds, something special to a layer of the wine. And I think that this will be a trend. I think that you guys are trend setting right now, so it's wonderful.
Well, Christine, I have one little other note about the Riesling Bubble. Originally, when we came out with it, our market was going to be in New York City, and one specific place was MoMA, or the Museum of Modern Art.
Oh, yeah.
And when we thought about the Scanlander, we thought about people sitting there in the cafes in New York City, with a bottle of wine on the table, and they've got their smartphones, of course, and then they scan it, and at least it will connect them up here to this part of New York and show them a little bit about who we are. Maybe get them to come up here and visit, get them interested.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it tells the story. It extends the story beyond the glass of wine or beyond the bottle, and it really encourages the entire story of the region because wine is such a regional, from the ground level product that I think people want to know more. They want to see who's behind this amazing bottle of wine. So I think it's great.
Well, it's fun. It's also trying to break the perception that Riesling is nothing but a sweet wine.
Right.
That's not the case anymore. We are extremely competitive with the German Rieslings and Washington State Rieslings now. We're winning most of the awards, and we're quite excited about it. And our Rieslings in New York, in the Finger Lakes, are getting 90s from Wine Spectator and Wine Enthusiast magazine, and that's neat that we're able to do this.
It is. It's wonderful. So, I know that the Riesling Bubble has been so well received, and just Rieslings in general from Atwater, as well as many other Finger Lakes wineries. But this Pinot Noir Bubble, I think, is so neat, and one of the really great, exciting things surrounding it is that you can vote for what label you want. So we've sent out some information to, I know that you guys sent out an e-newsletter to your list, but if people want to vote, how can they do that? Is there a website or?
Yes, if they go to our homepage of our website, which is atwatervineyards.com, on the front page there's a blog, and that's the very first item. Actually, it talks about the newsletter. So the very first item on our page talks about the newsletter, and in there it'll lead you to the blog, which leads you to the vote.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm going to redo that and put the Riesling Bubble right there on the front page today. I just haven't had a chance to do it.
Okay. Perfect.
And what's very important is that they vote for the right label. And we all have, within reason, all have lunch together almost every noon, and none of us have been able to agree on which label is better. So we're down to two labels, and we just decided finally, well, let's let our customers and our friends look at it and see what they like.
I think
that's the whole point of this, is just to have fun, and that's it. We've got over 150 votes already.
We're up to about 100 so far.
Hitting 200 votes so far, and they're running reasonably even.
Okay, so it's good competition.
I won't say my opinion which label I want, but I do want it to win.
No pressure.
It can really get. Everybody has their own ideas of why one is better than the other. So we're calling it the two twins, the identical twin and the fraternal twin. And which one is your favorite?
I love it. And you know what? I think it took me a while to figure out who I wanted to vote for. Because I see the benefit in both. But I made a choice. I'm not going to tell you what it was because I don't want to sway anyone's opinion. But I think that people will have fun with this, especially you have to see the Riesling Bubble label first, because then you'll fully appreciate that you do. You have the identical twin, and then you have the fraternal twin. I think that's a perfect way to describe it. So now we've piqued everyone's interest. So if you haven't yet, visit atwatervineyards.com and make sure you go and you find where to vote. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, which I will be uploading shortly, make sure to look in below the box and expand it, and we'll have the link to vote there too. So with that, thank you so much for being on the show today, both of you, Ted and Denise, again from Atwater Vineyards. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Christina.
Great time. Thanks very much.
All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in, and go vote for the Pinot Noir Bubble label right now. All right. Take care, everyone. If you need more information about visiting Finger Lakes Wine Country, you can visit our website, fingerlakeswinecountry.com. You can always give us a call at 800-813-2958, and we will help you with some personal planning for your trip to Finger Lakes Wine Country. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.